Welcome back, Cowboys Nation, and thank you for joining me today because we have some explosive news and rumors coming out of Dallas that are going to have fans buzzing for days. This one involves two massive names that could shape the future of the Cowboys season: Micah Parsons and Stephon Gilmore. ESPN's Adam Schefter has dropped some new nuggets that are making the rounds, and as always, when Schefter speaks, the entire NFL listens. And Cowboys fans, you might want to buckle up, because this story touches everything from contract negotiations and future roster plans to the possibility of a high-profile veteran returning to shore up the defense. Dallas may be in the thick of training camp and preseason, but behind the scenes, the front office and coaching staff are working overtime to make sure this roster is loaded for a Super Bowl run. So let's break it all down and see just what's going on with one of the NFL's most polarizing franchises. First, let's start with Micah Parsons. If you've followed the Cowboys over the last few years, you know that Parsons has quickly become the heart and soul of this defense. Drafted in 2021, he has been nothing short of a game-changer, two-time All-Pro, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and a guy who can wreck an offensive game plan on any given Sunday. But here's where the story gets interesting. According to Schefter, the Cowboys are already bracing for what could be one of the largest defensive contracts in NFL history. And we're not talking about largest for a linebacker or largest for a pass rusher, we're talking largest for any defensive player, period. The sense around the league is that Micah Parsons is going to demand and get Aaron Donald-type money, and the Cowboys know it. The front office is aware that every sack, every quarterback hurry, every big-time play he makes this season is only driving that price tag higher. Schefter hinted that Dallas might try to get ahead of the situation, possibly looking to open contract talks earlier than expected. Normally, the Cowboys play things slow when it comes to extensions for young stars, letting them play out as much of their rookie deal as possible before opening the checkbook. But Parsons is not just any player, he is the kind of generational talent that teams build around. The Cowboys can't afford to let this become a drawn-out saga with media leaks, agent posturing, and locker room distractions. There's already a buzz that Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Will McClay have had internal discussions about what it would take to lock Parsons down long-term before his deal explodes into a league-wide bidding war. That means we could be looking at a contract worth north of $30 million per year, something that would shatter records and make Parsons the highest-paid defensive player in NFL history. Now, you might be asking, why the urgency now? Well, the Cowboys know they're walking a financial tightrope. Dak Prescott's contract situation is already looming in the background. CeeDee Lamb is due for a big payday, and if they don't act fast with Parsons, they could find themselves in a nightmare cap situation where keeping all three becomes nearly impossible. Schefter noted that there's a real possibility Dallas could structure Parsons' deal in a way that gives them short-term cap relief while securing him for the next 5 to 6 years. That means a monster signing bonus, front-loaded guarantees, and cap-friendly early years before the big money really kicks in. It's the kind of contract maneuvering the Cowboys have used in the past to keep their stars happy while still filling out the rest of the roster. Speaking of the roster, let's turn to the other big name in Schefter's report, Stephon Gilmore. The 33-year-old cornerback was a steady veteran presence for the Cowboys last season, bringing leadership, experience, and championship pedigree to the secondary. With Trayvon Diggs missing time due to injury, Gilmore stepped in and reminded everyone why he was once named NFL Defensive Player of the Year. But when the offseason rolled around, Gilmore hit free agency, and Dallas let him test the market. Many assumed that was the end of his Cowboys chapter. But according to Schefter, the door is far from closed. In fact, Schefter revealed that the Cowboys have quietly kept tabs on Gilmore throughout the summer, and with some questions still lingering at cornerback depth, there's a growing belief inside the organization that bringing Gilmore back could be a smart move. The price tag, of course, is the sticking point. Gilmore isn't going to get anywhere near the $13 million per year he once commanded, but for the right deal, likely a 1-year, incentive-heavy contract Dallas could bring him back into the fold. And here's the kicker: Gilmore has reportedly kept himself in great shape, stayed in regular contact with some Cowboys players, and even expressed a willingness to return if the timing and situation are right. This potential reunion makes a lot of sense for both sides. For Gilmore, it's a chance to finish his career on a playoff contender, in a defensive system he already knows, with a locker room he's comfortable in. For Dallas, it's an insurance policy. Trayvon Diggs is coming back from injury, Darren Bland is solid but still young, and while the Cowboys have other depth options, none have Gilmore's big game experience. We're talking about a guy who has played in Super Bowls, locked down top receivers, and knows how to rise to the occasion in January. If Dallas truly believes this is their window to win, adding a veteran like Gilmore could be the difference between an early playoff exit and a deep run. The other factor here is Dan Quinn's defense. Even though Quinn is now gone to Washington as head coach, the defensive scheme remains largely intact under new leadership. Gilmore thrived in that system last year because it allowed him to play to his strengths using his football IQ, anticipation, and physicality to outthink opposing quarterbacks. Re-signing Gilmore would not only give Dallas an experienced cover man but also a mentor for the younger corners. If you're trying to develop guys like Nashon Wright or Eric Scott Jr., having a guy like Gilmore in the film room and on the practice field is invaluable. Now, if the Cowboys do decide to pull the trigger on bringing Gilmore back, it's likely to happen sooner rather than later. The longer they wait, the greater the risk that another cornerback-needy team swoops in. There are already whispers that a few playoff contenders have called Gilmore's camp to gauge interest, so Dallas might need to move quickly if they're serious. One source, Schefter, spoke to describe the situation as keeping the oven warm, meaning the Cowboys haven't turned the heat all the way up yet, but they're ready to cook if the ingredients come together. The interesting twist here is how these two storylines, Parsons' extension and Gilmore's possible return, could be connected financially. If Dallas were to structure Parsons' deal in a cap-friendly way for 2024, they could free up enough space to make a reasonable offer to Gilmore without jeopardizing other priorities. It's a delicate balancing act, but the Cowboys front office has pulled off similar cap gymnastics in the past. The real challenge will be timing. Do they try to knock out Parsons' deal before the season starts, or do they focus on shoring up the roster for an immediate Super Bowl push and revisit Parsons' contract in the offseason? What's clear is that both moves would send a message not just to Cowboys fans, but to the entire NFL that Dallas is all in for the season. Locking up Parsons early would tell everyone that the Cowboys intend to build their defense around one of the best young stars in the game for years to come. Bringing back Gilmore would show that they're serious about having no weak spots in their secondary when the playoffs roll around. These aren't just roster moves, they're statements of intent. And for a team like the Cowboys, intent matters. Every year there's pressure. Every year, the spotlight is brighter in Dallas than almost anywhere else in the league. The Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl since the mid-90s, and while they've had plenty of talented rosters in that time, they've always seemed to fall just short. This year, with a stacked defense, explosive offensive weapons, and a coaching staff that knows it's in win-now mode, the margin for error is razor thin. You can't afford to let a star like Parsons feel undervalued or let a proven veteran like Gilmore slip away to a rival. So as we sit here in mid-August, with the regular season just weeks away, Cowboys fans should keep a close eye on these developments. Schefter's reports aren't just idle chatter when he brings something up. It usually means there's real smoke behind the scenes. Parsons could be on the verge of a historic payday, and Gilmore could be just a phone call away from suiting up in that star helmet again. If both moves happen, it would be a huge win for the Cowboys roster and their Super Bowl hopes. This is the kind of late off-season drama that makes the NFL so compelling. The roster is never truly set, and the front office is always weighing short-term needs against long-term strategy. For the Cowboys, the decisions they make in the coming weeks could define not just the season, but the next several years of the franchise. Will they go all in and make bold moves, or will they play it cautious and risk missing their shot? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure: if Schefter's latest intel is accurate, we're in for an exciting ride. And that's where we'll leave it for now, Cowboys fans. The rumors are swirling, the clock is ticking, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Whether it's locking up Micah Parsons with a groundbreaking deal, or bringing back Stephon Gilmore for another run at glory, the Cowboys are at a crossroads. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.